Today's movie kicks off with the masters of martial arts gathered together. We find out they maintain the balance of the world and protect humanity without anyone knowing. They are really frustrated because no successor has appeared yet who is worthy of inheriting their insane skills. We see the daughter of the head expert, named Jin, working in a supermarket. A guy walks in, and the moment she touches him, she realizes he's a thief who just stole a bag from a poor lady. She pretends she's going to grab something and immediately chases him out. In the same city, we see our hero, a poor traffic cop named Sang. He pulls over a car for a traffic violation, but the driver mocks him because he has a congressman with him, thinking Sang can't give them a ticket. Sang doesn't really care because he has to enforce the law. Right then, he sees the same thief Jin is chasing and takes off after him instantly. But Sang is pretty weak, unlike Jin, who is literally flying from one building to another. She has actual superpowers and even walks on walls. In a unique move, she throws her hair tie at the thief, knocking him off his motorcycle. She politely asks him to return the stolen bag, but he pulls out a knife in a rage. When he throws it at Jin, she breaks it easily and prepares to hit him with an energy blast to finish him off. However, since she's still learning to control this power, she accidentally hits Sang, who had just arrived at the scene. Sang falls to the ground unconscious from the force of the blast. Jin has to take him to her father and the other masters so they can check him out. Here they are surprised to find that the hit, which should have killed a normal human like Sang, actually opened up the chi energy paths in his body, which evolves a person's skills. As soon as Sang wakes up, he starts screaming and gets terrified of the people around him for no reason. They try to calm him down, but the kid is crying and yelling, so the expert father has to give him a strike that freezes him like a statue until he chills out. They explain to him later that the world has secret currents of chi energy, and they are responsible for opening and taming this energy for the sake of truth and justice. Our hero asks them, "Wait, if you're the legendary 7 masters, why are there only 5 of you?" They tell him that their 6th member died 20 years ago while defending the weak. He used all the chi energy he had to protect people, but unfortunately he inhaled too much tear gas and died. Weirdly, they refuse to tell him what happened to the 7th master. In the end, Sang still doesn't believe there's a secret sect of superhuman martial arts teachers until he sees one of them flying in the air, another running on a wall normally, and the third giving him a palm blast that sends him flying. Of course, the cowardly Sang gets even more scared after what he saw and just wants to leave. But when Jin enters, looking stunning, he gets a bit distracted. He doesn't even listen to the expert father telling him, "You have more raw chi energy in your body than any young man I've ever met." Sang gets a little excited and asks if he'll be able to walk on walls and do palm blasts. He finds out he can actually do them, which scares him even more, so he decides to bail. But when he gets to the bus stop, he tries to fly or walk on walls again and fails completely, to the point where a lady standing there gets creeped out by his weird movements. Anyway, we discover the masters were the ones making him fly and do those things with their internal energy to encourage him to join them, but he refused. The next day, Sang's boss at work screams at him and insults him because he couldn't catch a thief and is only good at giving tickets to congressmen. He tells another officer to take him on any mission and get him out of his sight. Sang goes out on patrol with the officer and tries to explain what happened to him yesterday, but they hear a call on the radio and rush to the location. As soon as they enter, Sang trips on his face because he's clumsy. He finds a local gang leader and his men torturing people. Strangely, the officer with him plays along with the leader and asks him not to make too much noise because someone called the cops, and then he tries to leave. Sang stops him and asks how they can just leave like this. He stands in front of the local gang leader and asks for his ID. His partner tries to de-escalate because he knows the gang won't stay quiet, but Sang is feeling brave because of his police uniform. However, the leader shocks him by slapping him repeatedly and mocking him. Sang is stunned by the reaction and doesn't know how to handle it. The men force him to his knees so the leader can keep insulting and humiliating him. He doesn't stop there. He slaps Sang's face with so much force that he literally lands over 50 slaps. Even the gang members start feeling sorry for Sang. The leader then throws him in the middle and keeps beating and insulting him as much as possible, stepping on his face with his boot so he remembers it for life. To make it worse, after it's over, his partner tells him to just forget it and move on. Sang goes and drinks a lot, then goes into the bathroom to talk to himself in the mirror. He's furious and yelling until he hits on an important realization. "I don't know how to fight. That's why the gang beat me so easily." His boss comes in and yells at him to calm down and go home. But the next day, Sang Sang decides to go to the house of the seven masters. As soon as he sees Jin, he gets flustered and starts rambling, acting like he was just passing by and decided to check on them. She doesn't pay much attention and lets him in. Then her expert father sees him and starts giving him a lecture on chi energy and how to tame and train it to do superhuman things. But Sang has a totally blank look on his face and doesn't understand anything. All he's thinking about is whether he can learn that flying palm blast or not. Jin tells him, "We're not teaching you so you can go get into fights with people, honey." Her father calms her down because Sang might be the legendary warrior their prophecy spoke about. But she mocks the idea and says it's impossible for him to reach the Orohan rank, which is the highest level in martial arts. Jin then takes him to the street to try and explain the deep meanings of chi energy and how all humans have this energy buried deep inside them. She explains that anyone who gains great skill in what they do reaches the master stage easily because people's motives and hard work are what make them reap the rewards in the end. Despite all this, our hero just wants to know how to do the palm blast. But what no one was ready for is that on the other side of the city, workers were digging in tunnels and one of them discovers a soft wall. He hears a sound behind it, so they break the wall and are shocked to find an old man who looks like a skeleton in a secret room. Anyway, the next day, Sang is sitting and eating with Jin and one of the masters. He's complaining because they tied his hand to strengthen it and he can't eat. The master yells at him and says, "You're the one who came to learn, so endure it and be a man or just leave." They then make him keep punching a pot of extremely hot sand. He gets more annoyed and starts feeling like what he's doing is useless for fighting. The master mocks him because all he cares about is learning the palm blast. On the other side, we find out the old man they found in the tunnels disappeared mysteriously. We see him standing in front of a betting shop. The owner thinks he's a beggar and throws money at him, but the mysterious old man keeps knocking until the guy comes out to see what he wants. The shock is that as soon as he touches him, it's literally like he shot him. He shreds the guy's hand. The man is shocked and grabs a shotgun quickly, but in a split second, the crazy old man dodges the shot and gives him a very precise strike. This strike explodes the man's vital organs and sends him flying. Worse than that, the mysterious old man uses a supernatural power to drain all the energy inside the betting shop owner. We see his appearance improve, and he turns young again after brutally absorbing all his energy. The next day, Sang goes out to the street with his master to learn that looking steadily into an opponent's eyes is proof of strength and courage. He goes to try it with a vegetable vendor and keeps staring into her eyes until she thinks he's crazy and literally pokes his eye out. Later, there's a TV show called Discover the Master that hosts two of the seven masters to prove to the world that superhuman powers and chi energy still exist. But because the masters don't want to be exposed, they act extremely weak, to the point where they can't even break a small tree. When they get back home, Sang searches Jin's bag because he likes her. He finds papers showing she wants to join a beauty academy. More importantly, he discovers her birthday is in a few days, so he decides to surprise her. After that, he starts learning that martial arts are for avoiding violence, not causing it, and that a truly strong person is the one who forgives his opponent. The master asks him to land a punch on Jin, and he hits her so suddenly that he makes her bleed. Anyway, the five masters start teaching our cowardly hero everything. Most importantly, the five elements of nature in Chinese culture, like control and internal growth, as well as fluidity in movement in absorbing an opponent's strikes, and how to use weapons as part of your body. Although Sang is a total failure at first and causes disasters, over time and thanks to his training with Jin, he becomes noticeably stronger. One day while he was organizing traffic as usual, he sees the mysterious old man crossing the road with total arrogance. He goes to talk to him, wanting to see his ID. A second before killing him, the crazy guy decides to back off when he senses Sang is weak and his energy wouldn't be useful. But our hero, as usual, won't let it go and decides to chase him through the city streets. Of course, a car hits him like every other time, but strangely, this time he isn't really affected. He strips off the heavy weights he was wearing on his body for training and takes off running. We notice his hand left a weird dent in the car's hood. Anyway, he keeps chasing the mysterious man until he sees him literally flying in front of his eyes. Sang tries to do the same and fly on the walls, but falls and fails miserably. At the same time, two of the masters are walking in the street and are shocked by the appearance of the mysterious man because they knew he was imprisoned. His name is Hung. The expert, Jin's father, goes to the hospital later because they turned into statues, unable to move. As soon as the expert looks at them, he understands that someone professionally blocked their energy paths. On the other side, Jin is giving Sang a cupping therapy session and taking care of him. He takes care of her too and gives her a birthday gift. Of course, he doesn't tell her he found out by searching her bag, but when she sees the gift as an ID for the beauty academy, she realizes he went through her things. She gets very upset and gives him a piece of her mind. Sang goes to train with a sword, feeling down because he didn't expect that reaction. When she feels she was a bit too harsh, she decides to make it up to him and takes him out to dinner. At that time, the expert and the other master are very worried. We discover Hung was their 7th master, but he betrayed them long ago, and they had to lock him up under the tunnels. But now he's free and searching for the energy key that would put him at the Orohan rank, giving him unlimited power that no one could stop. Back at the restaurant, the local gang that beat and insulted Sang before walks in. One of the guys sees him with Jin and goes over to harass and mock him. Sang handles him with indifference and just wants them to leave them alone. The guy gets annoyed that Sang now has the nerve to talk to him like that. Jin tries to calm things down because Sang shouldn't get into a fight with civilians. But our hero is carrying a deep-seated grudge after the humiliation he suffered from them. The gang leader tells his guy to hit him a bit and teach him to speak politely. Here, Sang flips the script on him and beats him with total ease. The rest of the men attack him, but our hero is now on a completely different level. Even though he hasn't fully mastered Chi energy, his fighting abilities have improved massively compared to normal humans like them. Not to mention the rage inside him that makes him destroy them one by one, wrecking the restaurant over their heads. The leader himself decides to step in, but Sang beats him just like his men and knocks him to the ground several times. The local leader goes crazy and tries again, but it's useless. Sang rains down violent strikes on him until he can't even get up. Our hero doesn't stop there. He keeps kicking him hysterically to make up for the insult he endured. When the rest of the men try to intervene, Jin steps in and, with simple, precise strikes, manages to control all of them and pin them in place. She stops Sang, who was about to hit her too in his rage, and slaps him for what he did. Our hero screams in pure rage, so loud that the killer Hyung hears his voice from far away. Later, Sang calms down and goes after Jin, trying to explain that he was defending himself. But she was very upset because they weren't training him to cause trouble and hit people, just like she told him in the beginning. But as soon as she enters her house, she finds Hyung waiting for her. He asks about her expert father's location. Sang sees him and doesn't understand who he is or what he wants. When he tries to touch him, Hyung sends him flying with total ease. With a single touch, he also sends Jin flying. He is clearly on a level far beyond them. Sang gets reckless and starts throwing pottery pieces at him with incredible speed. But the shock is that Hyung blocks the strikes with his sword perfectly and throws a piece back at Sang, blowing him away. But when Sang sees Hyung directing his power toward Jin to hurt her, he loses it. With one single scream, he moves bricks and rubble around him in an amazing way. Despite Hyung's shock at his power, he controls the rubble with all his experience and directs it towards Sang, who barely dodges it and manages to land a hit that finally wounds Hyung. Hyung goes crazy and is about to kill him, but Jin throws a sword in front of him at the last second. Right then, the expert and the impetuous master arrive and see what's happening. The master attacks Hyung immediately without introduction. Both of their skills are very high. The expert joins in too, until Hyung decides it's better to withdraw because he can't handle all of them at once. But the master sees that Hyung is wounded and thinks this is their only chance, so he takes off after him. Sang decides to go with him and leaves the expert to treat the injured Jin. The master stands in a formal fight against Hyung, determined to kill him because he's evil and wants to destroy the world. Sang appears to provide support for his master, but Hyung was much stronger. With just one strike, he creates chaos in the water they are fighting on. The result was that he managed to surprise the master and stab him in the stomach with his sword. Sang is shocked as he sees his master fall into the water dead. In his intense rage, he lets out a massive scream that moves the water around him exactly like Hyung did. Hyung is blown away and decides to disappear for now. On the other side, while the expert is treating his daughter, he understands from her that Sang managed to wound Hyung with one of his techniques. Suddenly, they see Sang walking in, carrying the master's body, looking devastated. The expert begins to explain to them that the 7 masters swore to protect the key of power, which would give whoever owns it unlimited power to rule the world. Hyung was with them in the beginning, and things were fine until a fierce war broke out among humans. They weren't supposed to intervene, but Hyung couldn't stay silent and decided to jump in alone with his sword and wipe everyone out. The power he felt that day changed his life forever, because he saw in his hand a power that could change the whole world. That's why they imprisoned him under the tunnels for long years, and kept the secret of the key that would lead him to the Orohan rank. Currently, we see the expert transferring the tattoo of power from his back to the backs of his daughter and Sang so he can stay connected to them all the time. But as soon as they leave the house, Hyung comes to talk to him. The expert makes him understand that he doesn't have the key right now, which enrages Hyung, and starts an exciting fight. Jin senses what's happening and moves across the buildings to get back to her father quickly. Sang tries to do the same, jumping from a building onto a company roof and breaking its windows. In the end, they manage to reach the house, which is completely destroyed, and the expert is missing. Jin goes into shock, worrying that her father might be dead. Our hero tries to calm her down and reminds her of her own words, that she must always be calm to think rationally, especially since Hung would never kill the expert until he knows the way to the desired key. They figure out he took him to the ancient altar where they used to perform rituals long ago to release the power the whole world would fear forever. They head there immediately. Jin is faster in reaching Hung, but Sang looks for the expert's location. The expert was sitting in meditation, communicating with them constantly. Sang finally finds him, and the expert tells him to go help Jin now, especially since Hung had knocked her to the ground and was about to kill her. Sang steps in to change everything. He shows Hung the tattoo on his back, so Hung understands that Sang now has part of the desired key. The legendary fight begins. Jin tries to support Sang as much as she can, especially since Hung is at an extremely advanced level and hard to control. They duel him with swords at the same time, using the expert master's energy. But as soon as Hung gets cut by a sword, he gets totally enraged and fights with unparalleled ferocity to the point where all three swords break in an epic scene. He manages to wound Jin in the neck, but she also stabs him in the stomach and wounds him. Here he loses his cool, stabs her in the shoulder, and continues hand-to-hand combat with Sang. Sang gets beaten up at first and isn't a worthy match for Hung's insane abilities. When Jin tries to help, Hung goes crazy and throws her very far. But Sang catches her before she hits the ground and takes the hit for her. At that point, Hung has already drained part of her energy and stands ecstatic with his near victory. When our hero tries to stop him, he takes a powerful hit to the stomach that makes him bleed and fall to the ground, unable to move. But the expert master's words in his head make him wake up to fight until the very last breath. It's clear his skills have become better and faster. He dodges Hung's lethal strikes with ease and lands a dangerous hit on Hung's wound. Hung goes crazy and tries everything, but the advantage this time was with our hero, who has officially transformed from a cowardly traffic cop into a legendary warrior, taking on the giants with exceptional skills. Hung was in pain and didn't know what to do with him until our hero lands the final blow that sends him flying, making him lose his balance completely. Hung falls to the ground, taking his last breaths. Once Sang is sure he's dead, he runs to check on Jin. After a while, Jin goes back to work and blends in with the public, but when she sees the same thief she was chasing in the beginning, she decides to go after him. But this time, our veteran hero Sang is with her to provide the proper support, and that's where